Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live once again on the Tru Heel Heat Sports YouTube channel for another edition of Tru Heel Heat Check, talking about the latest in NBA basketball. I am here with your number one Knicks fan of the Knicks Nation. He is here with us following. I don't know how he feels about what went down yesterday, but following the Knicks, making it to the second round, doing much better than how I said they would do. So he proved me wrong. He is Chris G. How you doing, Chris G?
I'm good. I feel good. We'll talk about how I feel about the game a little later, but I feel good. I'm doing good.
And yes, I am here representing the Laker Nation, representing the Lakers in five, ladies and gentlemen. Lakers in five, beating the Memphis Grizzlies in six, going up to face the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors. So we got a lot to discuss here on Tru Heel Heat Check. How you feeling, Chris G?
Well, if we want to get into how I'm feeling about the Knicks, it's tough, man. The Heat are a very tough team. We played good that first half. That second half, they kind of just figured us out. They shut down Jalen Brunson. RJ wasn't as hot. We're missing Julius Randle. Mitch got outplayed by Bam a little bit. Everything kind of connected for them, and we took the L. It hurts a little bit more because usually when you lose the first game of the series is never good. But
Yeah.
especially when you're the Knicks, who are 0-7 in playoff series already, when they lose the first game.
I did not
So
know that. That is some
yes, they've
useful
never
information.
they've never won a playoff series when they lose the first game. So history is against us. I'm treating this like we're down 0-2, and the next two games are must win because we had to snag one in Miami at least to give us a chance.
To take
Um,
back home court now.
yeah, to take back home court. And we have to win next game. We might have a little help with Jimmy Butler being, he got a sore ankle. Maybe Julius comes back, and if the stars align, maybe we can get some wins back. But we'll see.
Yes, it was an interesting start to the second round of the playoffs, but we got to talk about the first round of the playoffs. Chris G rejoining us back on the show. He wasn't on the last edition. Shout outs to Romeo, who filled in for him as we did our playoff preview. And I did pretty good on my playoff predictions. The only series I got wrong were the Knicks. Of course, I picked the Cavs to beat them in seven, and Cavs disappointed me, the most disappointing team of the first round of the playoffs, in my opinion. I also got wrong, of course, like many of us got wrong, the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Heat. So we'll talk about that series from the first round. I also got wrong over on the West. What did I get wrong? I got pretty much everything right on the West. I said Phoenix over the Clippers. I said the Warriors over the Kings. I said the Lakers over the Grizzlies, and I said the Nuggets over Minnesota. So I got 6 out of 8 series correct. Chris G, what about you? You weren't able to give us your first round predictions, but what did you get right? What did you get wrong from the first round of the playoffs?
Well, I'll be completely honest, right? I had the Knicks obviously beating the Cavs.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So I didn't think they were going to do it in 5 games. That was a little impressive. I thought it was going to go 6, maybe 7. So that's cool to see. Of course, I had the Bucks beating the Heat. That didn't happen. Sixers winning, of course, and Boston moving on. So all that happened in the East. You get to the West. Lakers and Grizzlies. It's kind of hard to tell at this point with hindsight because I don't know if I would have leaned like I wouldn't want to bet against LeBron and AD healthy, but the Grizzlies are a deep team or were a deep team. I don't know
To
what the
be
fuck
honest, you
happened.
picked the Grizzlies. I know you did.
I don't
You're like every Knicks fan that worked
no.
against them.
No, well, this is where the honesty comes in. That one honestly is a toss up for me because I did have the Kings beating the Warriors. I thought the Kings were going to go on to the
Okay.
next round. And I knew the Nuggets and the Suns were going to go on to the next round as well. But that series, man, is a toss up. Like right now, I can't tell you who I would have picked. It would have had been in the moment where I was leaning one side or the other. I think I would have went towards the Lakers and LeBron because I wouldn't ever count LeBron out. But I can't make that decision right now.
That is fair. That is fair. We're gonna break down all these series, and we want to hear from all of you. Tru Heel Heat Check is a lot like Tru Heel Heat Flagship Podcast over on the main channel, over here on the sports channel. We love to be interactive with all of you. Highlight all your comments. So sound off. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. We got Vala B, who joined us over for our NJPW Wrestling Duntaku preview over here saying sup. We got Chase Oliver, who says Bucks, my NBA final pick choked. Yes, that was my NBA champion pick. He choked. God damn, I would never get over that. Dolores saying, "What's up, everyone?" We also got Chase saying it was a failure from that organization for sure. Frantic World saying, "What's up, SP3, Chris G, and chat. Let's go, Lakers." Another Lakers supporter in the chat. We love to see it. Dolores saying, "Let's go, Warriors." Me and Dolores are enemies until the end of this series. We got Casey and LeBron and AD. We're facing a young team who don't know how to talk to the referees and don't know how to calm down situations. And they don't know how to talk to LeBron James. It seems like,
No.
yeah. Or don't know how to talk to the media after a loss, it seems as well.
They just don't know how to talk, man. They just don't know how to talk.
Just shut the fuck up. Sit down, shut the fuck up, and should have kept your mouth shut. Shouldn't have been talking shit, nigga. Like, that's what I
Pretty
feel.
much.
That's
Pretty
what I
much.
feel. But before we get into the first round, we got to talk about the end of the first round, and we'll start with the Warriors and Kings series because that was the best series of the first round of the NBA playoffs. Kings and Warriors going down to a game 7. A lot of people thought it was a wrap after the Warriors won game 5 and they were heading back to Chase Center in San Francisco. Everybody thought it was going to be wrapped up in game 6, but the Kings pulled out the victory in that one. And then everybody was just like, okay, now it's kind of a toss up. We don't know who's going to win this one, but Steph Curry pulling out one of the greatest game 7 performances in NBA playoff history, dropping 50 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in a game 7 as the Warriors win 120-100 in Arco Arena in Sacramento, California. This was just Steph Curry putting the Warriors on his back and probably giving us one of his more, I think the NBA Finals Game 4 game is his greatest playoff game from last year. That's his greatest playoff game of all time, but this is right up there. This is right up there. 50 points, 38 minutes. This man didn't even want to sit down. There's footage of Steve Kerr telling this man, like, I need you to rest. I need you to take at least a little break. I'm gonna put you back in. Don't worry, don't be upset. He also had that great speech, apparently. That's what all the Warriors were talking about after the game, where he told everybody that, leave your emotions on the side. If you're complaining about playing time, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, you could save that shit. If you too focus on that, don't even get on the bus. He was like, I'm going to take you getting on the bus as signing a verbal contract, a non-verbal contract with me that you are ready to accomplish the mission. And Steph Curry is not known to be a vocal leader. So the fact that he did that says a lot already. And then to come through the way he did, where it was very close. It was very close through like 3 quarters. And even the Kings in the third quarter kind of had the lead for a bit there early on. And then once, like, I think like the 8-minute mark of the third quarter, it just became the Steph Curry show. What did you think about Steph Curry dropping 50 in game 7 and all the stuff around it with the speech beforehand, and then just how he was talking that shit on the court to the fans, like, they finished. We ain't finished.
It's weird, right? Because I put the game. It's funny that you say that. I put the game on after halftime, and I'm like, all right, the Kings are competing. Like, shit, this is gonna be a close one. And then to see Steph, like, at his age, still be able to be so smooth and crafty, like, because it wasn't even him. Like, he didn't even start like the run just by hitting threes. He was getting to the rack and just like hitting little floaters and fucking reverse layups. I'm like, this man is still crafty as fuck. So how could you ever count out Steph Curry? Then it's like, all right, he got 36 points with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I'm like, oh man, if he keeps this up, maybe he could go for 50. And then he's just hitting shot after shot. at the shot. And that's it, man. Steph puts up a 50 piece. Can't be surprised. Can't say that I'm surprised.
No, and it wasn't even like it was just him shooting threes. It was the layups, the little
Yeah.
floaters in the lane. Like I think that it is kind of. I saw the argument on ESPN today that people just calling him the greatest shooter of all time or one of the greatest point guards of all time feels disrespectful to him now. He is one of the top 10 greatest players of all time because when you compare him to all the other greatest players of all time. You got LeBron James, 6'9", with a 7 foot wingspan. You got Michael Jordan, who's 6'6", with the wingspan ridiculous. He could jump out the building. Shaquille O'Neal, 7 foot tall. Wilt Chamberlain, 6'9", 6'10". Bill Russell, 6'8", 6'9". You got Larry Bird, who was 6'7", 6'8". Magic Johnson, who was 6'9". He is 6'2" with a 6'3" wingspan. Like he is the shortest player, which I feel like some people might give him too much credit for his skill level at that height, but he deserves it. It is unreal what he has been able to accomplish with his resume of the greatest 3-point scorer of all time, and unanimous MVP, 2-time league MVP, 4-time champion, NBA Finals MVP. I don't think that it is a question anymore, and I think games like yesterday in Game 7 kind of cement his status as a top 10 player all time.
I mean, I already thought he was a top 10 player of all time. Just he is the greatest shooter of all time, right? That's number one. But just in terms of winning and playmaking, his defense has got considerably better from when he first started in the league. He's gotten stronger. He's become a better finisher. I mean, I don't think it's arguable. People will argue it, but I don't think it's arguable.
So we had Stephen A. Smith going on his podcast, and he said that we need to have the conversation now. Is Steph Curry the greatest point guard who ever lived? I'm just going to put it out there because I'm going to be 35 this year. And my dad, when I was young, showed me like tapes of Magic Johnson. But when I was really watching NBA, it was towards the tail end of Magic Johnson. I started watching NBA like the first Bulls championship season in 91, 92. I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I started watching like basketball and, get a vague understanding of what's going on. Steph Curry is the greatest point guard that I ever seen play. I think that he is, but like I said, it kind of you're not putting into quantification how great of a player because he's not just the point guard. He can probably his position is basketball. He's just a great player. He can make the shots. He can play defense. His handle is top 2, top 3, I think all time because he was just especially yesterday. He was just like it was Harlem Globetrotters in there. The way he was getting down the lane, where he was going through defenders and stuff, but. I think that Steph Curry is the greatest point guard that I ever seen play. And I think that there is a strong argument that he might be, or when he finishes his career, he might be considered better than Magic Johnson as the greatest point guard that ever lived.
I think it's certainly possible. It's hard, right? Because basketball is the evolution of the point guard position, right?
Yeah.
Magic was so special because he played at a time where, like, as a point guard, you had to be able to distribute, kind of do a little bit of everything, like play defense and distribute, basically. But the fact that he could drive, score, hit a jump shot here and there, but then play defense, rebound, put up these triple doubles. That's what made Magic Johnson so good at the point guard. Because he was so big,
Magic Johnson was positionless basketball before it became a term. Like
ahead of his time, 100%.
in his rookie year at 20 years old, this man stepped up and played center in game 6 of the NBA finals and won it in
Hit the
1980 when
hit the hook
Kareem went
shot.
down with an injury. Like this man who played point guard for 82 games throughout the playoffs, and then you get to the NBA finals and your center is out, and he comes on the bus with the radio, because I seen the series, I seen the Lake Show series, and he came on like, never fear, Magic is here, and he came through in that NBA finals to win the championship. Yeah, like, yeah, Magic Johnson is that guy. He is the greatest point guard who ever lived right now. But that's why I preferenced it when I said this. When it's all said and done, and especially what goes down in this series with the Lakers, if Steph and the Warriors are able to get by LeBron and the Lakers, I honestly I don't see the Nuggets or the Phoenix Suns, from what I've seen from them in their first round series and what I've seen from them, in the regular season series, I don't see them beating the Warriors in the conference finals.
I mean, the Warriors are the defending champs, so it's kind of hard to count them out. But we got to kind of ignore the fact that they're the 6th seed at this point.
Yeah.
They are the defending champs, and they might have gotten better. You know what I mean? They were just unhealthy towards the end of the season. Now they're fully healthy going into the playoffs, going into the second round. So they're scary. I wouldn't. Maybe us saying that they were going to the fucking Western Conference Finals is not out of the realm of possibilities.
Hey, dude, I had them going all the way to the finals. I had them going all the way to the finals against the Bucks. They're the only thing keeping alive our playoff preview and our preseason preview that we did. And that's the only thing keeping me alive right now, is that I said from the very beginning Warriors would be back in the finals.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at least we're gonna get it right with that, maybe. But yeah, it's really hard to call. It's gonna be an interesting series with the Lakers. Lakers are a good team that could compete with them. And if they beat the Lakers, then it feels like they have so much momentum. You just took out LeBron, Anthony Davis. Like, I don't know. I feel like whatever team they see in the conference finals, if they make it that far, they won't be able to keep up.
And I do have to, highlight this comment from Dolores. Says definitely Kevon Looney deserves a bunch of credit. He had 11 points, 21 rebounds, and especially in like the fourth quarter when Sacramento was like, scoring on their end, he kept the Warriors in that game because he kept getting offensive rebounds. Like, they could not clean up the boards. This man just found a way to get every offensive rebound when the Warriors needed at crucial times.
Yeah, he set a record. He set some type of record. I think he had like a whatever, how many offensive rebounds, like the most in a game, 7 or some shit like that. But yeah, shout out to him. He's always been a solid piece for them, and now he should be considered like one of their cornerstones. Like, their big guy in the middle that's gonna clean up the boards, get a block here and there, play good defense. So I like him. I'm glad he developed into this type of player. Because I liked him. I think he went to UNC or went to one of these schools. I seen his rookie year, and I was like, "Oh, this kid could be good." So,
yeah. We got Chilling with Chase, who says phenomenal series between the Warriors and Kings. It was great because of the Bay Area influence. I hope the Kings don't spiral after this great season for them. I don't see them spiraling because, you got Mike Brown, who won Coach of the Year, did an excellent job. He was well deserving of winning Coach of the Year. You got De'Aaron Fox, who's one of the best clutch players in the league. And that finger injury, I really feel dictated where this series was going to go. If he doesn't get that finger injury, I don't know how this series would have panned out.
Yeah, because obviously it's going to mess with your game, right? So, especially on your shooting hand, and the part of fracture, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. So I know it definitely messed with his game. But when it comes down to it, I mean, they were in it. They were competing in that game 7. And it just, Steph Curry took over. So it's not necessarily anything they could have did. It's just sometimes you play against one of the greatest point guards who ever lived, and fucking this is what happens.
Exactly. This is what's gonna happen to anyone. I think this is a good comment to feature too. Dolores saying, "Imagine Clay wasn't even at his best last night." I don't think you're going to get Clay at his best anymore. I think this is just who Clay is because of all the injuries that have went down. He might be able to have, pull out one of those great games because he is capable of that and he has that skill, but I don't think you're going to get Clay at a consistent level the way he used to be anymore. So,
No, this is the Clay that's going to be around. But I mean, he's still effective.
yeah.
Just don't expect him to have those runs of 30, 35 point games. He'll have a 30 every once in a while. He'll get hot, hit a couple threes and shit, but 19 to like 21 is his range now. That's perfectly fine. That's all you really need from him. He lost
Sure.
a step on defense, which is really, kind of hurting the team, but I mean, if the rest of the kids are committed, on their end, which Andrew Wiggins has definitely helped on the defensive end, helped pick up the slack. Jordan Poole still lollygags every once in a while, but if they're committed, then it makes up for it.
Signed that big contract. He stopped caring as much. Um, uh,
Trying to show off for Ice Spice and shit, man. Fuck out of here. Go play ball, man.
but you know what time it is now, Chris G. It's time to talk about my Los Angeles Lakers pulling out that W against the Memphis Grizzlies, and Dylan Brooks done opened his mouth way too many times after they won game 2 in Memphis. This man was like, I don't respect anyone unless they put up 40 against me. And what did we do in game 6 in Los Angeles? We beat these boys' ass by 40. We dropped 41 against them in the third quarter. Oh man, it was a beautiful game to watch. You had LeBron dropping 22 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. You had Anthony Davis with 16 points, 14 rebounds. I think he had about 5 or 6 blocks in the game. This man was ridiculous. He had 26 blocks in that 6-game series. He was a 4.5 blocks per game, Chris G. This man was a monster in that series as far as defense. Austin Reeves, hashtag AKA him. He is him. He had 11 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and the leading scorer for the game in game 6 was D'Angelo Russell, dropping 31 points, whole bunch of 3-pointers. He was just on fire in that game. It was a complete demolishing of the Memphis Grizzlies. We dominated them in the paint. We dominated them on the boards. Triple J could not compete with Anthony Davis when he was on in those last 2 games. He was on the money. The games that the one of the games that we lost, and game 4, he was not there, but 4 out of the 6 games he was on the money, looking good. What did you think about the series overall with Memphis Grizzlies, the 2 seed, fall into the 7 seed Los Angeles Lakers?
Rightfully deserved. That's what they get for talking all that shit, and for Dylan Brooks looking like Money Mike that one day that he decided to rest in the game. I don't know, man. It's like poetic justice, right? You think you can count out LeBron and Anthony Davis and this is young, hungry Grizzlies team, but it wasn't the same since John Morant came back from that little leave of absence that he took. So, and you can tell towards the end of the season it was like that. And I don't know, they got way in over their heads. They didn't really. They don't. They're young. They're young kids. They still don't know what's going on in the league, how to conduct themselves on and off the court, unfortunately. So hopefully they improve on that because they can be a really good team if they make a couple of adjustments, get a couple other players, upgrade from Dylan Brooks. He's a free agent. Let him walk. Uh, yeah, I mean, the Lakers are scary when they're healthy. So another team that you got to look out for. It's like the perfect matchup, them and the Warriors. 2 healthy teams with plenty of playoff experience. It should be fun to watch.
We got chilling with Chase in the chat. He says if the Lakers play like this, they for sure have a chance to make it to the finals. And he also says the Grizzlies are a well-constructed team, but they missing something to take them over the hump. They just got to become humble, honestly. Because I think that they're still young.
That too, definitely.
They're still young, but they just talk themselves. They are the biggest front runners in professional sports, like not just NBA. They're the biggest front runners in all of professional sports because the level in which and the frequency in which they talk, they can never match that on the court. They just need to stop talking less and let their production on the court outweigh the level of at which they talk, because they talk themselves out of this series, in my opinion, with Dylan Brooks' comments in game 2. He completely no-showed the rest of the series and then didn't even want to talk to the reporters afterwards. That was just the straight up pussy shit move of the whole entire playoff so far.
Yeah, they are a young team, but they're missing some wing versatility. If they could get a little bit more versatility on the wing, upgrade. Honestly, they can get a guy like DeMar DeRozan or some shit like that to play the wing. Um, One of these veterans that can still score. You know, that's still a consistent scorer. Paul George. If I'm the Clippers, I'm blowing it up. I'm trading everybody. Go after somebody like that. I think they get somebody like that, they'll be straight.
We got Dolores in the chat who says things players like Steph and Braun deserve their credit, especially in advancing the game forward. Definitely the most like influential players in the past like decade of the NBA is LeBron James and Steph Curry. Chilling with Chase saying, yeah, they needed a PJ Tucker or someone like that to tell the kids to shut up. Not having Steven Adams was a big loss for them. Not having, yeah, that was why I picked the Lakers to win most of all, because they didn't have Steven Adams, they didn't have Brandon Clark. I knew that that it was a wrap for AD in the paint. If AD was on, if he was all day AD and not always disappointing AD, he was going to deliver, and that's what he did in 4 out of the 6 games, and those were the games that mattered, and we were 1-1 in the games that he didn't show up. All of that withstanding, Chris G, because we'll talk about the rest of the first round, but since we talked about Lakers and Warriors moving on, I'm going to say it here. I'm going to say it here visually. I'm going to give myself the spotlight.
Oh,
Stephen Curry, Steph Curry, Del Curry, Curry Soup, Curry Man, Curry Chicken. Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5. Who you got in the semifinals? Lakers versus Warriors.
I got Warriors in 6. No. I can see this going 7.
I can see it going 7 too.
I could see them trading wins at home.
I just like the shit is sharp. Lakers in 5. I'm gonna say realistically, Lakers in 7.
I'm gonna go with Warriors in 7.
Warriors in 7. We got Chase in the chat who says Lakers in 6. We also got Dolores who says that's the opposite. Dre said he left the series with more respect for Fox. If you gonna talk shit, own it. Yep, definitely. And Dolores says, let's remember this clip. Yes. You want me to do it again? I'll do it again for you. I'll do it again one more time for you. Give myself the spotlight. Klay Thompson, Michael Thompson, Emma Thompson, Tessa Thompson. Lakers in 7. There you have it. That's my prediction. Lakers in 7, ladies and gentlemen. Chris G's got Warriors in 7. Talk about the rest of the West. Unsurprisingly, the Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in 5. Like, this was the series in the West that literally had no juice. I barely saw like ESPN, Fox Sports 1 talking about this series. It was no surprise. The only surprise was the fact that up 3-0, the Nuggets didn't finish the job in game 4 and needed a game 5. Any comments on that series?
Nah, I think we all pretty much seen this coming. It's good to see Aaron Gordon be out there, get some play. You know, he got the playoff experience now. He's playing good. He had a solid season. He's always a guy I liked in his Orlando days. I'm glad he's, enjoying some type of success with the Nuggets. Jamal Murray slowly making his way back up to Bubble Murray. He's almost there. I think it might improve. If he improves this series, then next series, man, we might get Bubble Murray. So then they'll be scary. Because then they got a guy capable of putting up 30, 40 points, along with Jokic, putting up 20, and whatever. Their various role players putting up some shots as well.
Yeah, just looking at their output in that game four against the Minnesota, they won 112 to 109. You had Murray dropping 35 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. You had Jokic with a monster triple double, 28 points, 17 rebounds, 12 assists, and then they had three other players in double digits with Bruce Brown, KCP, and Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr. could make some big shots. He had 8 points, 10 rebounds in that game though. So yeah, they got such a deep team. It's definitely, we're looking like, I do agree that he's getting back to bubble Murray again, because he's coming into form. He's getting more comfortable on the court, getting into the lane more, and kind of having his way over there. Anthony Edwards had a really great season, and he was the reason that they were able to pull out that one game, as I predicted there. Anthony Edwards had 29 points, seven assists, and eight rebounds in that game four. Cat had 26 points and 11 rebounds, and Gobert had 16 points and 15 rebounds. So they had some contribution, but they were just totally outmatched by the Nuggets in the first round here.
Yeah, I don't know. Timberwolves, they're just weird. They're just a weird team. I feel like they have the talent, but they could just never get over the hump. I like Anthony Edwards. I hope he doesn't get wasted away in the wastelands of Minnesota. Sorry, Chase. I know that's your squad, man.
It is what it is. It is what it is. We got chilling with Chase saying Ant is innocent. He didn't hit the security, just trying to get money.
No, he's guilty. He's guilty, and they're trying to ship him off. They're trying to put him somewhere on the East Coast and the tri-state area.
Like, get the hell up out of here. And then the final series we got to talk about in the West: Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers. Let me talk about this for a moment. Chris G, I'm just going to say it here. I'm going to say it once. I say it again. I said this over on FMC, and I'm going to say it here on the Tru Heel Heat Check. Kawhi Leonard is the most unreliable superstar in NBA history. You could say Grant Hill is right up there with him, and yeah, Grant Hill was, but we never saw Grant Hill hit the highs that Kawhi Leonard has hit. Kawhi Leonard is a former two-time NBA Finals MVP. He's a former world champion. He's won titles on the West and in the East. He led the Toronto Raptors to the championship just 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we saw this happen. This man is unreliable. This man, he came out, he had a torn meniscus, and he suffered that torn meniscus. He played with it in game one, game two of this series, and then he was gone. This man dropped 38 in game one, dropped 31 in game two, and then never played again. Unlike Paul George, who we actually seen his injury, this is why I'm putting this series loss at the feet of Kawhi Leonard, because we are now 4 years into you. You had the opportunity to stay with the Toronto Raptors and to build something there after winning the championship in 2019. You had the opportunity to go and team up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and you can lean on them when you are going through your load management or going through your injuries and dealing with your injuries. You chose the hardest route out of those three options, which was going to the Clippers, and then made the Clippers trade their whole mortgage, their whole future, trading all those draft picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder to get Paul George. Had Paul George run like a thief in the night to the Los Angeles Clippers, knowing Paul George's history with injuries, knowing Paul George's history that he is not the guy that you want to lean on if you're an unreliable superstar like Kawhi Leonard. When you think about all of that, and you think about the fact that in 4 years, everybody want to say, oh, the bubble championship don't matter. The bubble wasn't real, blah, 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 blah. What was real is that we saw who the Clippers were in the bubble. That's for damn sure. You can question the championship in the bubble. You could question Jimmy Butler delivering in the bubble. Hey, the bubble seems to be working out well right now because Jimmy Butler still in the playoffs. LeBron James and Anthony Davis still in the damn playoffs. So the bubble must have been something because it told us that what they were going to be. But Kawhi Leonard had a 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets and blew it. Ladies and gentlemen. Had all these teams get the farthest they ever went was without Kawhi Leonard. When they had a healthy Paul George, and Paul George got them to the conference finals, defeating the Utah Jazz, and then they just came up short against the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul, Ayton, and Booker. Came up just short against them in 6 games. Then last year, they just blew it against Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. And then this year, we get 2 games of Kawhi averaging 30-something points per game, delivering in the first 2 games, and then, he's out. They just find out a couple of hours before. Tyronn Lue looked like he was the most depressed person in the entire National Basketball Association. And then you compile all that information that I just gave you of Kawhi Leonard's history with the Los Angeles Clippers. And then you combine all of that with what other things you have to do as a superstar. You have to be marketable. You have to be able to promote your team. He don't do none of that. He don't got the personality to do any of that. He made them mortgage their future for his unreliable ass. I'm sorry. You could tell me he had a torn meniscus. You could tell me he had an MCL injury. It don't negate the fact that it's been 4 years of nothing. This man went out on a commercial and had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to try to troll LeBron James and say, I'm going to be the new king of Los Angeles. Bullshit. You had the luxury house of the Los Angeles Lakers, and you went across the street to the slums, to the fucking projects with no AC. And then you done nothing. How did Russell Westbrook leave the luxury house of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he was able to build some walls in the projects? He was able to build some walls in the projects in 2 months. And Kawhi Leonard been there for 4 years. They still don't got no AC. They still don't got a roof over some of the apartments don't even got fucking doors. Like Kawhi Leonard, the most unreliable superstar in NBA history.
I concur. Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, you pay a guy all this money and he just doesn't deliver, right? And he has I mean, it could also just be the Clippers curse. I don't know. It could be a little bit of both. Paul George is the most unreliable B superstar in the NBA. So they go hand in hand. But yeah, I agree. It's sad to see that guys with talent like that can't get their shit together or can't stay healthy. I shouldn't say can't get their shit together, but they can't stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy. Put together, and if it wasn't for the Brooklyn Nets, this would be the worst like dynamic duo or super team that has been built in recent memory. Chilling with Chase saying Kawhi's MCL can't handle the grind. We got Dolores who says Kawhi is a buzz to me. At this point, his body and mind, no fight in him, can't handle the grind. We got Chilling with Chase saying Kawhi staring down PG in the bubble is all the proof we needed that this Clipper experiment was going to be a disaster. Yeah, like that's what I said.
True.
Like the bubble, for all the people that talk against the bubble, we learned a lot about these teams in the bubble. We learned that Jamal Murray could be that guy to put the Nuggets over the top. We learned that Jimmy Butler could be that guy to lead a team on his own to places that people didn't think it was possible. We saw that LeBron and AD could be a formidable force and be a championship team together. We saw all of that in the bubble. And what we also saw is that this Clippers combination of PG and Kawhi, it was never going to work out.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, right? Because they really complement each other's games really good. They both play defense. Like they're two guys that you can definitely build a team around, and they tried to do that and just didn't work out. And it's hard to tell like did it not work out because we didn't have enough talent? It's hard to tell when you only play fucking 30 games together in 4 years. You know what I mean?
Like you don't play, you don't
Yeah.
play. Like if you were
Especially not
able,
together. They get hurt at the same time a lot. And it's just unfortunate timing, It's just that's the thing about the NBA.
you
It's tough.
never know how many games this guy is going to play from year to year. It's just ridiculous. And Derby Entertainment with a great comment saying, "So remember when Kawhi won the Raptors a fluke of a ring? Because I didn't mention that ring with for the Raptors was against the Warriors without KD and a hurt Klay Thompson. So I know Klay got injured in the last game, but still." He got hurt in that series. KD played a couple of minutes. He was injured in that series. So you could call it a fluke of a ring. I
I
don't. I
will
don't.
I will say they deserve to get there at least because
Yes,
they had a couple tough
the Sixers series.
series. Yeah. Well, that was the one that was like they really had a battle and fight to get, and they did. So, um, it's by luck or by chance or by injury, unfortunately, that they had the opportunity to actually win a championship. But I mean, you can't really. I wouldn't call it a fluke, man. They played their ass off. Even though the team was hurt, they played their ass off and they won. They finished it.
True. We got. He says he hasn't done anything in 4 years. So the Clippers may be cursed. And he says just as worse as the Mets. You should know all about that, Christian.
Yeah. I get it, Derpy. I get it. Yeah, the Mets a curse. I get it.
Chillo and Jay saying rather be a T Wolves fan than support the Clippers. Years and years of teams that can actually make the finals and win a chip and nothing to show for it. Yes. Because this ain't the first Clipper super team that they made. Don't get me started on Chris Paul, Choke P3, and how many times him and Blake Griffin and Doc Rivers blew it for that super team, Lob
That's
City.
very true.
Antoine Phillips saying Kawhi is the girl that talks a good game in the bedroom and that it's disappointed.
Oh shit. Yeah. That's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one right there. But yes, Clippers coming up short against the Suns in 5 games. Suns won that last one, 136-130. KD had 31 points. Aiton had 21 and 11. And Devin Booker just went off in this series, especially the last 2 games, especially the last game. 47 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. He's been one of the best players in the playoffs so far. Do you think that they can overcome the Nuggets? They already started 1-0 against the Nuggets after the loss on Saturday. Nuggets winning 125-107. Jokic had 24 points, 19 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jamal Murray had 34 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. KD had 29 points and 14 rebounds. And Devin Booker came up. He wasn't as efficient and as explosive as he was in those final 2 games against the Clippers. He only had 27 points, 8 assists in game 1. How do you think this series is going to pan out with the Nuggets and Suns?
It depends if Jamal Murray can keep this level of play up, which I think he could. It's a mismatch for CP3, right? If they open up the floor for him, he's a guy that can shoot consistently. So as long as his jump shots hitting, he'll be fine. And then he can get to the rim too. And he's a very underrated playmaker as well. He can get his teammates involved. It's a little overshadowed because Jokic is like the main playmaker on the team. But if Jamal Murray plays at this level, I don't see the Suns beating the Nuggets. CP3 don't win, man. He don't win.
Choke P3. I know this. I know this all too well. And I always said, even when they got KD, that I always felt they were 1 year away. I think they're 1 year away. They need more time together in the regular season to get a flow of everything, to get on the same page before they be able to, win a championship. That's my whole thing with the Suns. I feel like they're just 1 year away.
They need to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. And I like Ayton. I think Ayton will be good on another team because I don't think he wants to be there.
Yeah.
I've said it since the beginning of the year. It's apparent when you see him play, even in the playoffs. Like he's like disengaged. Like he just doesn't want to be around this team. It's weird, very weird. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, and Devin Booker went off against the Clippers. I believe he averaged like 39 points per game. Like it was some ridiculous stats in the postseason so far. He's averaging 35 and a half points per game through that 5 game stretch against the Clippers and the 1 game against the Nuggets. So Devin Booker has been one of the better players in the league, but I do agree with you after game 1 and just seeing how like they just don't have enough outside of those 4 players. They need to build a team outside of those 4 players. And you're probably right. Trading Ayton and getting like maybe 2 pieces for him might be the way to do that, to build a team that's better suited to compete with the Nuggets. And I, even if the Suns are able to get by the Nuggets, I don't see them beating the Warriors or the Lakers at this point. I think that it would be a tough hand unless Devin Booker has one of those series like he did against the Clippers, and KD can give you one of his 30-point series. That's the only way I could see them beating the Nuggets, Warriors, or Lakers.
Yeah, true. They just gotta put up. They just gotta be able to put up the same volume that they were putting up last series because this Nuggets team actually plays defense, and they can score too. So it's really just gonna come down to which superstars are stepping it up more.
And we got in the chat here some predictions. Derby Entertainment saying, I hope the Nuggets sweep the Suns, but realistically, it could be Denver winning it in 6. We also got Chase who says CP3 is cursed. I think if he ever wins the championship, the earth will explode. That's outrageous. I'm gonna actually agree with Derby. I see Denver in 6. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, Denver. You know what? We'll go a bit further. We'll go Denver in 5.
Denver in 5. See that. We got King of the North saying need a Lakers disaster class just for SP3's rants. To be honest, why do you wish that? Why are you trying to wish that upon me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I have these classic rants. You can clip my Kawhi Leonard rant because that's one of my better ones. Right, very much explained why Kawhi Leonard is the most unreliable. Because yeah, Jeremy on FMC trying to argue with me, saying, "Oh no, he's injured." Come on, nah. That's just coming up with excuses for this man that don't even play. This man can't even play 60 games in a regular season because he's doing load management, even when he's not hurt. Come on,
Yeah,
unreliable.
Antoine describes it best.
Unreliable, just a completely unreliable human being. He's the girl that talks a good game and then can't deliver. It's disappointment city. It is what it is. Now let's move over to the East. Not a lot to talk about with these first round series except for 2 of these, but we'll start with the 2 that weren't as exciting. Let's start with Boston and Atlanta, which did have a very exciting game 5. Trey Young with that ice tray moment, dropping about 12 points in a matter of minutes to pull out game 5 for the Hawks. But even that still didn't feel like this was an actual series. Like we all knew the Boston Celtics were going to win in the end, and that's exactly what they did, winning out in 6 games instead of 5, where it should have been 5. They won the 6th game 128-120 on I believe this was Thursday or Friday. You had Trey in that game dropping 30 points and 10 assists. You had Hunter with 20 points. You had Collins with 16 for the Celtics, though. It was that combination of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Brown dropping 32 and Tatum dropping 30 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, a virtuoso type of game for Jason Tatum, really showing himself to be the best player on the court. I will give the Hawks credit for getting it that far in game 6 because I predicted Celtics in 5 on our last episode here, but Celtics, it was never a question they were going to win this one.
Yeah, I wasn't questioning it, but damn, it took them 6 games. That's saying something. If Embiid was healthy going into this next round, I would pick the Sixers. just based on how the Celtics played in the first round. Because I mean, probably the likely MVP, right? And then James Harden is actually playing like James Harden in the playoffs.
He
Jesus
is.
Christ! If James Harden could play like James Harden, shit, they might even have a shot without Embiid because James Harden's playing like James Harden in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, uh, Embiid is healthy soon and we get that series in full. But yeah, I had no doubt the Hawks were gonna lose. Blow it up, trade everybody.
Do you think they're gonna keep Trey Young? Because that's been the big talk ever since what, the beginning of this season, that Trey Young could be traded because he didn't get along with Nate McMillan. He hasn't got along with a lot of his teammates. He's causing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but this man can deliver and get you 2 playoff wins, man. He did that much, but they need a better team if they're gonna, because they went to the conference finals. They overachieved 2 years ago, and I think that everybody is keeping them at that standard where it really just panned out that they versed a Ben Simmons led Sixers at that time, which was never going to be a good thing for them. And Ben Simmons passing up on goddamn layups, that was just an all-time choke job. But when they run into like these major teams like they did that season against the Bucks and they did this season against the Celtics, it just doesn't pan out the same for the Hawks. So do you think that Trey Young needs to be traded for them to progress their team?
I don't think he needs to be traded, but I think he has the most value. So if they want to take a shot and build around Deontay Murray, because that seems to be like their contingency plan, why they traded for him. And that works too, because Deontay is good, but they have totally different games. So you kind of got to build the team differently around them. They've been trying to get rid of John Collins for like 4 years, so maybe this will be the year they finally get rid of him, who has talent and is good would be good on a different team, as well. So we'll see what they do. They're one of the more interesting teams to watch this offseason.
They are. They are definitely a couple of comments to highlight here. We got Derby saying, "I think LeBron should be start at the 5 this series against the Warriors." No, you're giving up rebounds to to homie in the paint. If you start LeBron at the 5, it needs to be AD at the 5 for sure against I keep forgetting his name. He dropped 21 rebounds on in game
Looney,
7. Looney,
Looney.
yes. Looney. Yeah, you got to have AD box out Looney or it's a wrap for the Lakers. That's the only way the Lakers are going to win is if they dominate on the boards the way they did against the Grizzlies. So that would be a mistake to start LeBron at the 5. We
Yeah.
got chilling with
Also, my bad. I don't mean to cut you off, but
No,
like
go ahead.
also if you got AD at the 5, you can open up the floor a little bit, so it takes Looney out the paint, and that helps.
True. That is true. That's true. Especially if AD is dropping his jump shots and hitting his 3, yeah, that's the way you're gonna beat the Warriors. And we gotta stop them from shooting so many goddamn threes as well. Chilling with Chase saying Denver in 6, Suns don't have the depth to match the Nuggets. We're on the same page in that. He also says Trey Young before Game 5 was putting up tour dates for for numbers. That is true. Derby saying Boston, nobody likes Boston. Only a certain audience of fans support Boston, and we all know who they are. I hope Philly gets over the hump in 6 or 7. It's really the injury to the Sixers. Like I said, that series with the Sixers and the Nets, nobody was talking about it really because they didn't have Embiid for the final 2 games and still beat the Nets. The Nets, who we thought they would be. I tried to give Mikal Bridges 1 game in that series, and I was wrong for that. I should have just predicted outright the Sixers were going to sweep that one. But what do you think about the Philly coming in with a doubtful Embiid for game 1 tonight? And how is it going to pan out in this series? Who do you have, Boston and Philly?
I'm gonna go with Boston because Embiid's hurt, and we don't know when he's coming back. He's doubtful for game 1, might not return for game 2. If you're 2 games down, then Embiid comes back and he's still not really 100%. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Boston. I'm gonna say 6 games.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But it really depends on Embiid. If Embiid is able to come back sometime in this series, I'll give them 2 games and I'll say Boston in 6. But if Embiid is not coming back, I say Boston in 5. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. Because yeah, Boston is just too deep. They got 1 through 6. I feel like they could compete with anyone in the NBA. They really feel like they are the favorites if they can put it all together and play better than they did against the Hawks, especially in closing out games like they didn't do in Game 5 against the Hawks. I think that the Boston is the best team left in the playoffs right now. So I can see Boston winning the championship if they're able to play the way they did in Game 6 in comparison to Game 5 against the Hawks. But I'm gonna go confirm because I think Embiid will be back sometime in this series. I'll get Boston in 6. Now, let's move on to the 2 series that surprised everyone. And we'll start with your New York Knicks getting the job done against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that a lot of people did pick the Knicks. I did not. So I will eat crow here and say that I was wrong for picking against them because the Cleveland Cavaliers just didn't have it in them. They didn't have that dog in them. The New York Knicks really proved themselves to be one of the best defensive teams in the playoffs, really shutting down Donovan Mitchell, especially in the games in New York, and just overall kind of keeping their young front court to a minimum at best. And still, they kind of show the youth of this Cleveland Cavaliers team throughout this series. The Knicks winning in 5 games. How happy were you to see it, and what did you think about the series overall, Chris?
I mean, I loved it, right? Because I thought that I had the Knicks winning, but I didn't think they were going to win in such dominating fashion. They just looked like a team that wanted it more. We killed them on the boards. Neither team really shot well, but the rebounds, the turnovers, just getting hot when we needed to. Certain guys on the team, mainly Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, RJ after game 2, really started to step it up. So it was nice to see, and it gives you hope for this series, even though we're down 0-1, 0-1 already.
But you kept them under 100 in the what was it, the last 2 3 games, like yeah, last
Yeah.
3 games, especially that game 2 slaughter when you beat them 99-79, which was just a defensive masterclass by eight. And actually you should have thunk it with a Tom Thibodeau led team, it was gonna be that way. Like Tom Thibodeau, he always has been the defensive minded coach, but the 4 games that y'all won against the Cavs, y'all kept them under 100 points and just kind of just in put your will on top of them. And then Jalen Brunson proved to be the best player on the court, because that's why I picked the Cavs in 7, is because I believe Donovan Mitchell would prove himself to be the best player on the court. But Jalen Brunson was the person who overcame that and proved himself to be the best player on the court. It was kind of the defense of the Knicks and Jalen Brunson leading the way that led y'all to that win. So now y'all move on to the second round with one of the best home courts out there in Madison Square Garden. Very loud for game 1 against Miami. But before that, we got to talk about Miami versus Milwaukee, the series that surprised us all as the 8 seeded Miami Heat became the first team to win a play-in game and then win the first round series against the Milwaukee Bucks. Were you as shocked as the whole world was to see Jimmy Butler lead the way with that remarkable game 4 performance where he dropped 56 on his man's head, 56 points, Jimmy buckets, playoff Jimmy coming through for the Miami Heat and then finishing it off in game 5 to seal up the series against the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks led by Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I mean, I think first and foremost, Eric Spoelstra had a great game plan out there, and he executed it and really shut down the Bucks defensively. You can't sleep on a team like the Heat, even though they lost probably their second best scorer, maybe their best scorer in Tyler Hero. Um, they still found a way to grind out these games, but The reason why they grind out these games is because one man, and he does exist. His name is Playoff Jimmy. Playoff Jimmy is different from Jimmy Butler regular season.
Yes.
So I and as much as he wants to deny it, it's a fucking real thing. Playoff Jimmy is just always on a different level. So can't count them out. I am surprised that they dominated the Bucks in the series. I'm not surprised that they won the series, but I'm surprised that they dominated.
Yeah, to pull off a gentleman sweep on the Bucks. And yeah, the Bucks didn't have Giannis for what, 2-3 games there, but that Giannis comes back and still it does not matter. He comes back in game 4 and Jimmy Butler against that defensive powerhouse team drops 56. Then one of the greatest playoff performances of all time, coming from behind, 15 points down in the fourth quarter to win that game in game 4, and then the game 5 closer, he drops 42 against Giannis, where Giannis is fucking running away from the ball because Giannis shot the ball horribly from the free throw line. And then Jimmy Butler, I told people, Chris G, before the playoffs, I was like, playoff Jimmy is a different monster, because the Lakers would have pulled off a goddamn gentleman sweep in the bubble finals if it wasn't for playoff Jimmy coming out and showing himself in that series. He did that against the Bucks in the bubble. He did that against the Celtics in the bubble, and then he does it here. Jimmy Butler is just a different beast. I don't understand. I don't think we've ever seen a player who is just like that different, where he is like, this man didn't even make the All-Star game this season. He didn't make the All-Star game, and then he just turns into the top 2, top 3 best player in the playoffs once the playoffs start. It's kind of remarkable, but yet very, very strange that you can have a guy who just plays regular in the regular season and then turns it up to 10 he's like averages like 5 more points in the playoffs than he does in the regular season.
Yeah, he's almost like Madison Baumgartner from the Giants back in the day, or fucking El Duque on the Yankees. Like, where in the
Yes.
regular season they're just mid, and then once they get into the World Series, they become the greatest pitchers of all time. That's fucking Jimmy Butler. It's playoff Jimmy. I think he does it on purpose though. His game style is very just, I want to win, so I look for the best options to win, even if I'm not the one scoring the ball, which is what I like about Jimmy. But then in playoff mode, he's like, "Yo, give me the ball, because I'm we're down 7. I'm gonna drop 15 and put us up 8." You know what I mean? So gotta appreciate it.
What do you think about the Bucks? What did the Bucks do after, you had the whole interview where those media people were just grimy. Those media people are just grimy, trying to kind of goat Giannis into that question, saying, "Oh, it's a failure? Was the season can be considered a failure?" A better wording would have been, "Can you consider this season a disappointment?" Yes, it was. If you're the number 1 seed and you don't make it past the 8 seed in the first round, yes, it's a disappointment. You can't say it's a failure. I think they were just trying to goat Giannis in. But what do you think what the Bucks need to do? Because this is another instance where I think that a lot of the blame is not going to go on Giannis. It's going to go on Budenholzer. Budenholzer kind of, everybody gave the credit to Giannis for getting them the championship 2 years ago, but every time they lose, it always falls on Budenholzer, it seems.
I mean, I think Giannis deserves some of it too. He didn't have the greatest offensive series, especially after he was hurt. Budenholzer was dealing with a lot, as we found out days after, because he had a passing of one of his brothers. Uh, so that has a mental toll on people, of course, especially if they were close. I don't know how close they were, but apparently they were. So he's dealing with that. I don't think it falls 100% on him. The team itself, I mean, everybody gets the blame. I think at some point, you have to make a decision about Chris Middleton. At some point, I like Drew Holiday, right? But are you willing to try to go after somebody younger and get something back in return for Drew Holiday? Somebody who is, on the end of his prime, but, still a solid enough player, had his best year of his career pretty much this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of question marks. So it depends what direction they want to take. Do they want to stick it out another year and see if they could get deeper in the playoffs next year, or do they want to try to move some pieces around and see if they can get a little younger, a little faster.
We shall see. We shall see how it's going to work out for the Bucks, and we'll talk more about that when we do our, uh, you know, postseason wrap up episode of Tru Heel Heat Check. But final series to predict for this round: your New York Knicks versus the Miami Heat. Miami Heat getting the job done in game one in Madison Square Garden, stealing home court advantage yesterday afternoon at MSG 108-101. Jimmy Butler suffering a little ankle injury towards the end of the game, but still dropped 25 points with 11 rebounds. Gabe Vincent shot the ball ridiculously from three. He had 20 points. Bam Adebayo added 16 and 8. Over on the Knicks side, you had RJ Barrett with 26 points, 7 assists, 9 rebounds. You had Mitchell Robinson added in 14 rebounds. Jalen Brunson had 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. So good game. It just the Knicks could not hit threes. They had some crucial turnovers at the wrong time as well. So what do you think how this season's going to pan out after dropping game one at home?
Considering we're missing arguably our best player, it is what it is. I'm gonna, even though history is against us and we're down in the series, I'm gonna stay with my initial prediction of Knicks in 7. I think we can pull it off. I think home court is going to be big going down the end of the series. I think we have a good enough team, especially if Jimmy's hurt. We have a good enough team to steal one at Miami. So if we can steal one in Miami, win next game at the Garden, then we're right back in it. I think we could do it. I think we got the team to do it, especially if we get Julius back and he plays like Julius. So we'll see. We'll see. There's optimism. I'm not completely down because we lost the first game.
Everything is kind of up in the air for me because of Jimmy Butler getting hurt towards the end of the game, and he did not look that good towards the end of the game. So I'm not as confident as I was during the game watching it, but I will say Heat in 6. I'm going to say Heat in 6 because they were able to steal that game one. As Jimmy Butler can be on the court, I'm very confident in that. Jimmy Butler's not on the court, I can see Knicks in 7. I can see Knicks in 7 here because Jimmy Butler, even at 65%, I still think that he could still have a playoff Jimmy game because he's Jimmy Butler.
You never know. I wouldn't put it past him that fuck, but we'll see what happens.
But that gives us at the end of our second round preview. We'll be back with another edition of Tru Heel Heat Check after the West and East semifinals with our conference finals preview as well as reviewing the semifinals. Chris G, thank you as always for joining me here. We'll highlight a few more comments here. Derby saying Jimmy Bucket's gonna sweep New York, so he is down on the New York Knicks. He's just saying not defense. The Knicks are the Knicks. Man, they played great defense. I don't like the Knicks, but I'll be honest. You have to watch the games and tell if they keep a team that the Cavaliers was averaging 105 points per game and they keep them under 100 4 games. They played great defense. You could just be honest, Derby. Don't be a hater.
Hey.
Dolores saying, as a former young Heat fan, I was glad to see the team last night rise up to get a win. Yes, very surprising win by the Heat in game one. Chris G, thank you as always for joining me, good brother. And where can the people find you on social media? What you got going on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel and Twitch, all that good stuff. Let the people know.
You can find me at Tru Heel Chris G on Twitter and Instagram every Tuesday every Tuesday on the Tru Heel Heat Wrestling YouTube channel, NX3, NXT Watch Along. Every Thursday on the Twitch, we do the Blunt Impact Wrestling Watch Along. I'm still trying, my schedule will change, so I'm trying to find a day where I could game at night because, I got to get that gaming in. I just got the new MLB. I'm going to get WWE probably next week, and then we'll be updated. So definitely I'll inform everybody ahead of time when that's going to happen. And then right here on Tru Heel Heat Sports, Tru Heel Heat Check, we do the baseball one too. I forgot what we named it because we got an official name for it.
Heel High Heat.
High Heat. Yeah, Tru Heel Heat, which is great, by the way. So we got that. Football coming up. No, I'm hyped for that. So we got football coming up, and then UFC and boxing. Of course, you can find me on those watch alongs as well. So hit those notifications.
Yeah, slowly approaching 400 subscribers. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. That is where I post a lot of different stuff, whether it be for the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel or any of the other places that I do content for. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Tru Heel Heat, patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat, $3 a month, more exclusive content, more wrestling based over there. But subscribe to the Tru Heel Heat Sports YouTube channel. Like I said, hitting that 400 subscribers very, very soon. We just hit 6,000 on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. Go over and check out earlier today our NJPW New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestling Duntaku 2023 preview, where we broke down the card for this Wednesday show. We'll be back over there tomorrow for our WWE Backlash preview ahead of the big show in San Juan, Puerto Rico this Saturday. And I'll be back on the channel after that on Thursday for AE Ramble, reviewing AEW Dynamite. Last call for comments here. We got JRB saying Magic Johnson's was at the 5. Just because Magic Johnson at the 5 don't mean LeBron needs to be at the 5. That's false equivalency, my brother. What are we talking about here? I'm on your side with the Knicks Heat, but you just talking gibberish now. Dolores saying, join Tru Heel Heat Patreon. Best buddy you will sweat. Always got love for Dolores putting the plugs in the chat. But thank you, everyone, for joining us for the latest edition of our basketball podcast. For Chris G, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been Tru Heel I'm saying the wrong one. Tru Heel Heat Check, number 6. We are signing off until next time. Go Lakers!